Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday night segment of The Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network 105.3 FM from the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM from New Orleans. We're fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee who have been a part of our journey for the last several years. So thank you, Folgers. We couldn't do it without you, nor would we want to. Big thanks to Steve McGinnis, the artist behind the banners and logos here at the show. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Specializes in the Halloween and horror genre, but does incredible commission pieces of any type. So I see everybody's coming into the chat room. Hey, Wayne, hello, hello. Patsy, hello. Kathy, hi, Rochelle, hi, Heidi. Oh God, you guys are awesome. Tonight, this is kind of going back to my roots a little bit, because we don't do as much paranormal content as I'd like to do, but I'm really pleased that we have so many incredible people who come on with different topics of all sorts. And high strangeness is always one of my favorite and falls into so many great categories. So tonight I am pleased to welcome author and screenplay writer, paranormal, I guess, researcher, experiencer of high strangeness. He's definitely no stranger to highly strange encounters and experiences. And tonight he's going to be sharing some of those with us. So we're going to have a really great conversation and I'm really looking forward to it. So please join me all in welcoming Jason Tavares. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, we finally get to meet.
Yes. At last, at last. Oh my goodness. Thank you for joining me. It's just great. It's great to see you. Great to finally meet you.
You too.
Great.
Am I on a good angle here or should I move my camera? What do you think?
Yeah, well, whatever you want. I mean, we can see you. We can see you, no problem. Yeah. So that's okay. So we reached out, Jason and I started conversing. Of course, the worst timing because I've just been like, oh, plagued with the plague, which still is not relenting much, but I'm grateful that I can at least do the shows and been looking forward to your show because you have, quite a few interesting things that you've experienced and talked about. So why don't we go back to humble beginnings? What were you have any experiences growing up? Have you always been sort of plagued by crazy encounters?
Well, the first experience I had was way back in 1988 when I was 14.
Right.
And from that point on, I really didn't have another one until I was about 19.
Wow.
So it was never anything that was a constant. It was never something where, like, I saw a counselor or anything like that to
Yeah.
do with it.
Yeah.
I always loved paranormal stuff because I was introduced to the Twilight Zone when I was a kid by my dad.
Yeah.
And I kind of fell in love with that thought pattern, but I never did anything to pretend something was materializing or, embellish on anything. I saw some creepy things, but nothing even worth speaking of. But two incidents, as you said, from the roots, was when I was 14 and then again when I was 19.
Wow. So, I mean, because I've looked at some of the interviews and stuff that you've done because you sent me a great link, and there was definitely some like I mean, you seem to have things, just weird things, just follow you around. Like it's either right place, right time, wrong time, depends how you look at it. But you really do have a lot that's going on.
Yeah, and the funny thing is like I belong to a paranormal group. It's more or less a couple guys I was in the military with.
Right.
And we don't really, when we go out, like we call it an investigation, we'll go out like to a paranormal area, like the Bridgewater Triangle, areas like that. But we never really sit and look and then say, oh, geez, I heard this, it has to be that. Anything that has taken place has always been stuff that more or less found me and I didn't have to look for it.
Right. Right. Um, God, where do we even start? You had an NDE.
What was it?
Yeah, we said, well, yeah, a near death 18-wheeler experience. You want
Yeah,
to tell us about that?
that
Yeah.
was crazy. I actually had two in Indiana.
Yeah.
And I don't, not to knock the girl I was dating then, but I was with her in both instances, but she wasn't with me in the car.
Right.
So, I mean, hopefully she doesn't watch this because, you know, it's the computer, anyone can find you, whatever.
Yeah, right.
It was so long ago, but
Right.
one time, we had, like, when we were just started dating, I was driving to her place. Now, I lived in Indianapolis. She lived, I think it was off Highway 69, maybe about 40 miles away. Driving up to her house, I drove a little white Nissan 200SX with the flip-up lights, like Rocky had in Rocky 4, but it was a Ferrari. I always thought I always compared it to his Ferrari, but you know,
Yeah.
it wasn't a Ferrari. But,
I've
you know, I was
driven a
young then.
300. They're fun cars. Yeah.
What you had the Nissan 300s? Yes.
Oh no, sorry. It was it was a no, it was a Datsun 300.
Oh, that's a nice car too.
Yeah,
300.
yeah,
The
yeah,
Datsun and the Nissan are both nice, both sporty cars. But
yeah,
I'm driving to her house, you know, sunny day. Most of my things that I explained take place on sunny days.
yeah.
I'm driving there, and I noticed in my rearview mirror that a lot of the cars were way back. Like, I was like, geez, why is traffic way back? Like, I didn't look to my right.
Yeah.
I just kind of looked up. I remember noticing that the traffic was a significant distance behind me, and this is a highway. So I'm driving, and as I drove, there was an 18-wheeler next to me, and he sped up, went in front of me, and went right off the side of the road. Now, the medians out there have big dips in them. Now, on the immediate side of a median, sometimes you have a dip in there for tornadoes. You can get out of your car and you jump in, you know, the hole if you have to. This is like just a dip between highways going north and south. This 18-wheeler went off the road and the whole trailer flipped in the air like that. It was literally like that significant. I pulled my car over, ran down there, and the guy who was driving it was pinned by the wheel. It was like right into his stomach. So like his ribs were kind of over the wheel. And all this guy could think of was pulling out his radar detector and handing it to me. He goes, take this, please take this. Because I guess he was speeding or, you know, whatever. And he didn't want to get in trouble. And they're not supposed to have them, I guess, then in Indiana. I don't know. So I took the radar detector, put it in my pants, in the front of my jeans, actually. And I'm trying to get the wheel off the guy. And it wouldn't move. And this state trooper comes over to the other side of the car and he says, the other side of the cab. And he goes, we got it. He goes, we got it, like that. So I'm walking away. The cops are coming, ambulance is coming. I'm walking up the hill, and this older woman, I say older, she's probably my age now, I'm in my 50s. I was in my 20s then. She comes up to me and she says, you have an angel. And I said, why do I have an angel? Because I helped that guy. That's what I assumed. She goes, no. She goes, you were driving you drive that little white car. I said, yeah. She goes, all the traffic was way behind you, and the 18-wheeler was leaned over your car, almost on one row of wheels, like his driver's side row of wheels. And you're just driving along. He sped up and went right off the road and flipped. And all the other cars saw it. So when I'm walking to my car, even other people like pointing, like, hey, that's the guy in the Nissan. I'm like, the guy in the Nissan. I was like, okay. So I made it to my car. But when she said that to me, it was freaky. Because she just kind of looked right at me and said, there's no way that didn't land on you. Now, when I go to her house now, I had 2 freaky incidents on that same day. I wanted her to watch Universal Soldier: The Return. This is telling you how long ago it was, 1999.
Yeah.
This one came out in 91 or 92. This one came out in 99. And I told her, because I love Van Damme. I said, I love Van Damme. You're going to love this movie. I'm at her house. She had made food. I explained what just took place. Big elaborate story. Oh my God, glad you're okay. Da, da, da. We're sitting on the floor in front of her couch, backs against the couch. She made food with like a little tray. She had hot sauce. We both like hot sauce. She put hot sauce on her food. She handed me the hot sauce. I put the hot sauce on my food. I put it on the floor next to me. She goes, can you hand me the hot sauce? I went like that, no hot sauce bottle. So she got mad. She's like, stop screwing around. Da, da, da. I said, I'm not screwing around. We put the food in the kitchen. We went as far as rolling up the carpet. She had a big throw carpet. We rolled up the carpet, moved the couch. She checked me to see if I was lying with the hot sauce bottle. And I said, I'm not lying. And she goes, I'm not lying at all. About a week later, I come back over her house, and she had tall, thin cabinets. Like a lot of the old houses have that, the ones that go all the way up, very high with glass doors. I walked in, and I said, what's that in the top corner of your cabinet? And we went over there. It was the hot sauce bottle.
Come on.
She goes, you put it there. And I said, how did I put it there from sitting on your floor where we were eating. She goes, well, I don't know, but it's no way it's there. It's impossible. But all that happened in one day. Now, the other instance with the 18-wheeler was also with her. We had a neighbor across the hall that was dying. And I believe he saved me. Like, he died right around the same time of the incident. I had National Guard up in Lafayette that weekend, like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday or something. Like, no, I'm sorry, it was a Saturday and Sunday because it was early Saturday morning. And I'm back in the Nissan again, going 65 north this time. She lives off 69. This was 65. 65 north, driving about 65 miles an hour. I hit black ice. And my car had rear wheel drive. It spun like this. I mean, I remember putting my shoulders up thinking I was going to break my neck if the car flipped. I spun, and I said it wrong on the other show. I said I was going south to north. I was going north. I spun across the median from north to south and halfway back on the median. I spun that much. I went right in front of an 18-wheeler, and all I heard was from the horn. So I'm like spinning like this, and I could see the headlights and the big truck. I put my shoulders up. I spun in front of it, right back on the median, and like I guess an old sign pole or something that was sticking out of the ground actually damaged the bottom of my trunk. It didn't go through the trunk, and it wasn't the reason to stop the car, but it dented it enough that you could see a little piece of metal through the trunk, like a corner of it. So I get out of the car. I'm checking myself because the first thing I thought of was a compound fracture. I'm checking myself, get out of the car, nothing wrong at all. I see a cop walking up with a flashlight. He comes up to me. He goes, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yes, officer, I think I am." And he goes, "You've been drinking." And I said, "No, I'm in uniform. I'm heading a drill. I got to be there for National Guard, Lafayette Artillery Unit." He goes, "You know how far you spun?" And I said, "About 50 feet. And he goes, "You okay to walk?" And I said, yeah, of course, I'm fine. He walked me to where my car went off the road. It was over 150 feet of spinning. That's how much momentum it had with icy roads. You figure the grass was slick. It was wintertime. There wasn't a lot of mud to get stuck in. So how I didn't flip, I don't know. Maybe because the car was like a low car, those Nissans.
Yeah.
Wheel drive. When I hit it and I spun, I went in front of the 18-wheeler. He goes, "You were about 10 or 15 feet in front of that truck." And that truck was going all out on the highway. When I came back, he said, "You're free to go, blah, blah, blah." Another couple pulled up in a truck to tell me, "We were watching it, and we were just waiting for that truck to hit you. It looked from our angle like you were dead. You were supposed to be dead." I get in my car, I drive to drill. The last vehicle that was leaving, I was able to grab my gear and get in the last vehicle to go to training. When I got back, all the mud under my car fell on the ground in the shape of what looked like a grave, like a rectangle of all the mud. So I guess some mud did kick up from that tremendous spinning. And I got in trouble for not cleaning it up. That was like the end of it. But
that's like crazy.
Yeah, two insane 18-wheeler stories in Indiana, and they weren't far apart because I only dated her for like a year, maybe less than that. So it had to have happened within that time, like 1997, 98, or 98, 99, I should say. 98, 99.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, it's that, like, especially the two occurrences in one day.
Yeah, the hot sauce thing. I think, honestly, the hot sauce bottle thing was scarier than the truck because it was literally here, put it on the floor. She goes, "Can you hand me the hot sauce?" Sure. Nowhere. She didn't have a cat.
Yeah.
A cat could have taken it, or she had no room on it. So.
And you never figured it out.
Never figured it out, and it was up in the top of that glass cabinet. Maybe 5 days later or so.
Yeah.
She was mad, and then she started to believe it. She goes, "So you're trying to tell me my house is possessed?" I said, "I didn't say anything. I came over to watch Van Damme." So watch Universal.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, just happened.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, was there any known occurrences in the building or anything like that?
No, it was just an apartment she was renting, kind of like a duplex type of thing.
Right.
And I don't know if she really had any eerie stuff before meeting me.
Yeah, because that's just a bit that's pretty extravagant. I mean, when you think about it, something just appearing somewhere where it really shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's really, I've never had anything to that extent with an item. Now, well, another girl I dated out there, you kind of backtrack a little. She was a little head. I dated this girl after her. She folded my laundry one night. She did something very nice for me. She washed my clothes. I said, "Oh, it was nice of you." And in the morning, she was mad. And I said, "Are you okay?" And she goes, "Why would you do something like that?" And I said, "Do something like what?" She took me in the other room where she had all the clothes folded. They were taken and thrown against the door, all over the floor. And I said, "Why would I do that if you washed my clothes?" And she goes, "Then how did that happen?" And another instance with her, when she was over one night, I had a whole row of VHSs on a shelf. One of the VHSs came out about that far, and we both saw it. And she's looking, and I'm looking, and I looked at it, and she's like, "What the?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "You saw that too, right?" And she goes,
Yeah, I didn't do it.
"Yeah." She goes, "There's so much weird stuff with you." I said, "Yeah, no." I said, "But the laundry one was real freaky." And also another time with her, she was leaving in the morning, sunny day. The laundry thing was actually at night, but we were inside. So you don't know what, day or night, didn't matter. It's an inside incident. One time she was leaving in the morning, and, she comes over, she goes, "I'll, see you later on, heading to work, blah, blah." She shut the door, and now I had my sliding door open. There was like a pond out there. It was a real nice apartment. I'm standing there eating cereal before work, I remember, in the kitchen, looking out at the pond, and I hear in the bathroom. The shower curtain was pulled all the way open, and she just left. So I ran around the couch. I go into the bathroom, and I'm looking, and I called. She had a cell back then. I didn't have a cell until like 2005 or something like that. She had a cell. I called her cell from my house phone, and I said, "You won't believe what happened." And I told her about the shower curtain. She's like, "Oh, that's freaky." And I said, "Did you have it open or closed?" And she goes, "I had it all the way open so it would drip dry." And I said, "It was pulled all the way against the wall, as if something yanked it, because it was that loud. I could hear it from the kitchen."
Mm-hmm.
So that was actually 3 incidents with her dating that girl and 2 with the other.
Yeah.
Probably more, but those are the ones that come to mind.
Be a curiosity just to see, was this somebody who lived there before? Did somebody pass away? Did somebody even in the area? Sometimes they're just around trying to get your attention.
Well, that's 2 different girls too, 2 different people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
So
2 different
maybe it's
apartments.
you.
Yeah, I think it is. I think something follows me, but I don't think it's malicious because
No.
like it's never really hurt me. I've never had a burn. I've never had anything like that to report.
Yeah. Well, some people you just have an energy that that they're attracted to. They just hang around. Maybe they just want to communicate.
Well, strange people come up to me a lot, and I've had that my
Right.
whole life. Like we could be in a room, and if there's somebody doing something odd, like out of the ordinary, they'll come right over and start talking to me, and I usually sit and talk with them. It's like I'm not gonna push them away. I'm like, "Oh, cool," because maybe you're the only person they talk to that would speak to them reasonably,
Like you're that guy.
Yeah, I might be. Yeah, I'm that guy, and they just say, "There's Jason," let's go talk to him.
Yeah. That's a guy we can get real with right there.
Yeah, we were in a bar one night, a friend of mine, and got 100 people in this bar. And this guy came in, he's like in his 70s, and he was like a gag stripper. That's what he did for work. He was a stripper in his 70s. So, and he came in and he was doing a chicken dance and all kinds of silly stuff. And a lot of people in there knew him. So we're shooting pool, and I just looked over, the guy didn't see me, and my friend says, "I'll bet you $5 he walks all the way around and comes and talks to you." And I said, "We'll see." So we're shooting pool. Guy's walking all around. He comes right over. He's like, "Hey, how you doing?" Came and talked right to me. Now, the other people he knew, but he came over to me to start a full conversation. My friend walks away with tears in his eyes laughing.
That's pretty bad when you know.
I knew he'd talk to you. And I said, "I don't know what I'm like a magnet. I don't know what it is."
It's like when you know, you know.
Yeah.
Right? Oh my God. So I mean, you have a group of people that you go investigate with. You have a team. So what's been your craziest encounter?
That's a great question. My friend, I'll just say RC. That's his name. I made up for him. That's his initials, but I don't want to give his name on here in case he doesn't want me to. He introduced me to the Bridgewater Triangle.
Oh, that's a crazy place.
It really is. And the funny thing is, I had been all over the place, different countries, all kinds of things for paranormal stuff. He goes, "Hey, you ever hear of the Bridgewater Triangle?" I said, "Where's that?" And he goes, "It's like a half hour from here." He goes, "I live in the middle of it." He lives in Taunton because it's Abington, Freetown, Rehoboth with Taunton in the center. And he goes, "It's the most paranormal area in the United States." I said, "I've never heard of it." So the first time we went was in 2021, and we parked on Copper Cut Road. Now, the story of Copper Cut Road, I guess they say there's a ghost truck driver. We didn't see anything like that. None of that stuff happened. We went for a movement through the woods, just him and I. He was about maybe 10 feet ahead of me. We're walking, and I heard something crack. Now, still to this day, he says it was a deer stepping on something. And I said, that sounded like something ripped off a tree.
Yeah.
And it was, I don't know how high it was, but when we were walking, we noticed a lot of branches that were damaged that were like 9 feet in the air, 10 feet in the air. And he goes, oh, well, it could be anything. And I said, not a branch that thick and that size echoed through the woods. He said, I know you go to the woods a lot. You know, we were both in the military. We did a lot of time in the woods, but he goes to the woods a lot on his own. And he goes, oh, I think it was a deer. So we just let it go as a deer. Walking some more. He's in front now. He's got his back to me. We're talking and walking. I look behind me and out of my peripheral. If this is a tree, something did this. And it was like a black oval. And when I saw it, I looked and I didn't say anything. We kept moving because I know this guy's real rational. And, you know, we were in the service together. We even went to high school together. And I didn't really know him then, but I know him from the military. So, you know, here we are. We're at this place, first time doing anything paranormal together. He's walking for a while now, maybe like another half mile to a mile. He goes, hey, did you see that? And we stop. And I said, what? He goes, something up there leaned out behind a tree. And I went, dude, I saw it back there. I said, what did it look like? He goes, kind of like an oval. It was that quick. I was like, wow. I said, I didn't want to say it, but I saw it back there. So here we are. First time I'm ever with him in the Bridgewater Triangle. And we both saw something. I didn't say it when I saw it. He said it when he saw it. Two separate things. And during the day. Also during the day. Mm-hmm. So that's like a pretty cool thing to happen in a place that already has a reputation.
Well, they have a reputation. A lot of those areas do, even like national parks, and that's not too far from. That's like a big area that spans on, you know, a large forested space, and you get things like, I mean, Bigfoot. I mean, Dogman. Right there, there's a lot of stories that come out of there. UFOs. Have you ever had any, like, aside from, you know, paranormal things, have you had any other? That sounds to me like a Bigfoot. Have you had any other cryptids?
No, I've never seen a Bigfoot. I honestly wish I could see something like that. I've never seen anything like a Bigfoot. I've never seen Loch Ness Monster or anything like when I go to the beach, that's what I'm looking for. Everybody's at the beach.
Yeah.
I hate sitting there. I like being in the water.
I'm the same. I can't just sit there.
Yeah. I don't see the point in sitting there burning unless you're gonna play frisbee or go do something. But to sit, I sit, you know, to stay. Like if my girlfriend wanted to go, whatever, I'd say, hey, we'll go. 2 hours pass. I just focus on the water, looking for a neck. It's never happened, but you know, I lose my sanity when you're cooking in the sun like that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I can't. I'm not one that can just sit still. I have to be doing something, you know.
I like to be engaged. I like doing, you know, like it's funny, but writing, it's funny. Like I can sit and do that for 3 or 4 hours though.
Yes. Yeah.
Even though you're in one spot, I think because your mind is focused, you know.
For sure. I mean, anywhere I travel in the world, you know, there are people who are, you know, friends that I've been with. I remember being in Greece and my friends are like loafing on the beach. I'm like, I got to loaf. We're coming to Greece to loaf. I got to loaf at home. And I ended up getting myself, you know, chummied up with some locals who were doing archaeology. I was just in the hole. I'm going for it. But yeah, it was great, you know, and spent a few hours there, come out all filthy. But hey, who could say you did that? Do archaeology dig in Greece?
Yeah. Did you find anything? Or?
Oh, yeah, they have all kinds. They wouldn't let me touch anything important. I wasn't experienced, but you know, nothing. A little chisel, a little toothbrush didn't take care of. They just let me do some stuff, but I mean, it was great because they were finding all kinds of things. There's certain parts of the world where they actually care about, you know, the heritage because, I mean, cities just built over top of cities, so they were clearing, I guess, to put something else there. Mm-hmm. And so they do archaeology and they see if there's anything substantial there. And then when there's, you know, it's clear to go, then you can build over it. So I think it's a great practice. But, you know, I love archaeology. So for me, that was a lot of fun. It was better than sitting on the beach.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, so, but What about extraterrestrial? Since you mentioned being in the Bridgewater Triangle, it's something else that they talk about.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like that. That's
Wow.
one thing I'm always kind of envious of people that,
Yeah.
say they have encounters with something. I've never had a UFO encounter. And I can't even remember thinking that I've ever actually seen anything in the sky, except for
Yeah.
a picture I have up there from Roswell. It's
Right.
a photo I took of a cloud, and it's the only cloud in the sky, and it's like a perfect oval.
Yeah.
And I took that picture in Roswell. I could take it down and show you if you'd like me to
Yeah.
take it
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. Sure. Sure. I've
Yeah,
seen
just have to
clouds like
excuse
that.
myself for a second while I dig that there.
Yeah. Yeah. No worries.
But it's actually a pretty awesome picture. I have two awesome pictures back here. This is one of them. And this one here will blow your mind. I bet you this second picture will probably be one of the scariest pictures you've ever seen.
Okay.
I'm willing to bet.
All right.
Let me see
Awesome.
here. I'll show you the Roswell one first. This is on the highway. Hopefully you can see it, but there's a cloud here.
Yeah, I see it. I see that.
Yeah, if I position it like that, it's the
Yeah.
only cloud, and I was only
It is. It's by itself.
yeah, I was on my way. I was the passenger, and this
Yeah.
was also taken with a cardboard disposable throwaway camera.
Right. So it's
in
film.
2004.
Right.
So we're on the road, and my friend was driving, and I said, I hate to do this already. We were on our way to Roswell. I said, but I think that's a spaceship because it's the only thing in the cloud. He goes, dude, it's not a spaceship. We just got here. But if you look at it, there's nothing else in the picture.
I know.
Like
I know. I saw a cloud like that once. I totally believe you.
Really strange. It could have just been a cloud, but they say they mask. I've
Well,
heard
this,
they mask themselves
yeah, this
behind
had,
walls.
this was a saucer in this one, or a cigar shape, and it was silver in the back. It was shining. It wasn't all covered.
You got a picture of it? Or?
No, I was lucky to see it go by.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah, it's kind of hard to get the camera ready.
It wasn't. It was on the move. It wasn't stationary. So we're driving, and I'm like, heads up, what's that? And we could see it was going by us, and you could see the silver shimmer in the back of it, and it was going over the river. We're driving, and I'm just like, oh my god, like the only time I ever saw it, but it was on the move, and it was not a slow move. It wasn't like
Makes you wonder
speeding.
why a lot of them are seen over water.
Well, I could tell you stories. I'm an experiencer. I could tell you stories for sure. There are many cases where some of them I've been photographed drawing water in. There are the theories, of course, of underwater bases in the area. Like it was believed that there was an underwater base of sorts, not too far from a military base either. So you start getting into a lot of that. Like you really start getting into, like they're all over the place. In deep oceans, you have the USOs, right? Unidentified submersible objects,
Right.
and they come up over the water, and the dolphins all congregate under them. It's crazy. Yeah, they like the water. Some of them do.
This picture I'm going to show you here, I was on Dave. You ever hear of a gentleman named Dave Schrader, the Paranormal 60?
Yeah.
I was on his show, and he brought up a good point, which I can only tell you that I took this with a cardboard disposable camera, and I am looking for the negative, because he said, do you have the negative?
It's
I must
film.
have it somewhere in the house, in the basement. I usually don't throw much away.
Yeah.
This picture was taken in Romania, and it was taken either in Sibiu or Sighisoara.
I've been to both. Yeah.
Oh, you've been to both? Oh, cool.
Well, I've been to Romania. Yeah, I spent some time.
Where Vlad the Impaler's family is buried. Apparently, he's buried on Snagoff Island, and we got to row out to the island, which was pretty cool. It's like a little temple. But
yeah, it's great.
There's a couple here that got married. We went through Borgo Pass the next day. They got married in Transylvania.
Yeah.
I'm going to cover their picture, because in this you'll see a small photo and then the blow up. I'm going to cover the two people that got married, and you'll see in the small picture the light. I say, Harry, I can get it.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah, it really is. I tried it on his show too, and it's just
okay.
You see the head in the background?
Yeah.
That's the blown up version. And then in that little picture,
I see it. Yeah.
If I move over here, maybe you can see it.
Yeah, I see it.
Like there's the photo. You can see her there, and that's the blown up. Now, looking at it up close, I didn't see anything when I took the picture. I asked them, I said, hey, can I take your picture? Yeah, sure. Cardboard camera, snap the picture. I'm back in Rhode Island. I think it was like November of 2004. I'm at CVS. And the lady there at the counter, she says to me, she goes, oh, are you Jason? And I said, yeah, and I'm reading magazines. She goes, would you come up here? I went, oh, crap. I don't know what was on the camera. So I go up there, and she's going through the pictures. She goes, you were in Europe. And I said, yeah. And she goes, what's this? And I picked up the picture, and I got chills. I said, I don't know. She goes, that's a demonic spirit. And I wish I could show it to you up close. It's as perfect as making me black from head to toe, like black paper.
Yeah.
It's as that clear. Like you can see the bun in the hair, the shoulders, the shape of them. It's not, you can't see through it.
Right.
And I've had it now since 2004. It's always been on my wall here at my condo before I bought this house. I had a friend named Christy, and we're friends, and she wanted to bring over this big jacked guy that she was dating one night. She goes, oh, can I bring the guy by I'm seeing to see the picture? I said, sure. Big jacked guy comes over. I said, there's a beer in the fridge. The picture's on the wall at the bottom of the stairs. He goes, all right, man, gets the beer. He goes downstairs. He goes, oh my God, almost in like a woman's voice. And he got like shocked over it. And he came back upstairs. He's like, dude, why would you have that on your wall? And I said, I've had it now for, X amount of years at that time. It hasn't done anything. I mean, it's just something I picked up by accident. I didn't see it when I took the picture. It happened to be in the picture. That's all. He was like blown away because he didn't believe her. And after he saw it, he didn't even want to be in the condo. He just took the beer.
Give me the beer. He probably needed the beer after that.
He probably did, because I think it really scared the guy,
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
you're in the right territory for that. I mean, we spent, quite a bit of time there and had unbelievable experiences. Did you go to the haunted forest?
No, it was at the Black Forest, or that's Germany?
No, that's in Germany, Hoyabachu Forest, which is in it's out near Cluj, right? Mm-hmm. And it's the haunted forest. It's the most haunted forest in the world. Well, maybe second to the suicide forest, but apparently it's moved up the ranks. So, yeah, it's a crazy place. We were there. Can't even tell you the amount of things that happened when we were, in Romania. It was insane. But the forest, it delivered. Yeah. So if you ever go back,
I'd like to go back, actually.
Oh, yeah. There's a whole slew of places because, my girlfriend at the time, like my friend, we were there, and she's from Romania. So we spent, quite a bit of time. She knew everywhere to take us. We've been from one end of the country to the other, and my God, like, it's just the history. There's not too many places. I've been very fortunate to be able to travel many parts of the world. There's not too many places, realistically, when you think about the old, I call it the old world. I mean, it's all pretty old, but the wars, the plagues, I mean, everything. I mean, think about everything that's gone on in these overly populated areas, and you're going to get activity. I've never not been anywhere not had activity. Some of it's pretty benign, just I only like to stay in very old places or preferably haunted, but sometimes it's just a matter of somebody walking around outside the room door. It's just not overly exciting, but it's like something. You're not alone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, especially if you're in an empty building and something takes place. I mean, that's time to go.
Yeah.
It's exciting until it gets too close,
Yeah.
Too constant,
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. So the one that I found very interesting was the snake lady.
Oh, yeah. That was in Indiana, too. It must be maybe something in Indiana.
Something about Indiana.
Maybe. I mean, because like Indiana, here I am now, 1998. I used to work out at Bally's Total Fitness, and I had free passes. My friend Rob comes over. I said, you want to go to the gym? I'm heading to the gym. He said, yeah. Also in the Nissan, let's look at the flip-up light Nissan. We're driving on the other side of Indianapolis. A city bus pulls over. Now, the timing was almost impeccable, almost like it was pre-planned in a way. Like, what do they say? What's that called? In the stars or whatever.
Yeah.
The bus parks over here. Here's the Nissan coming up. People are getting off the bus. I'm slowing down for a light or whatever. All these people get out, and this woman gets out with long, flowing brown hair and like a gray trench. And she had like olivey skin. She didn't, it was funny to describe it. I wouldn't say she was light skinned black. She didn't
Yeah.
look Spanish. It was just like a tint to her skin. And I'm slowing down because I'm going to be taking this right. The bus is over here. I look and she looked at me when I looked, and it looked like a cobra. There's no other way to describe it. It was as if I had a rag, I'll use a glove. It was like this quick of a flip to show me that face and the hair with the coat. All this was now a snake with like a cobra, and it went right back to normal. And when it happened, my friend Rob, when I heard him gasp, like, "Oh, what? Like what the?" And
Yeah.
I said, "Rob, what did you see?" He goes, "I didn't see anything." I pull in front of the bus. He goes, "Dude, what are you doing?" I said, "I am getting out to walk over to the bus. I want to see what that was." This is a pretty tough guy, Rob. He grabs my arm. He's like, "Dude, don't go. Please don't go." I said, "Okay." I didn't go. But we're driving. I said, "What did you see?" And he goes, "She looked like a snake." And I didn't say it. He did. I was blown away. I said, "Dude, when she looked, it was for that quick. It looked like a snake face with that, and then back to the hair. And she went into the crowd, and I couldn't see her because you figure the bus is long. It's parked. I'm driving past it. She just kind of walked casually over there into the crowd. And we went to the gym. We didn't even work out. We went up there. We were looking at the weights, and I said, "I don't want to work out." And he goes, "I don't either." It really rattled the two of us, I guess. Drove home, and for years we talked about it in Indiana because I only lived there till 02. This happened like 98. So when I started dating the girl I'm with now, I remember calling him one night on the phone. It was like, I don't know, 9 or 10, 2009, 2010, maybe 11. I don't know exactly. And I'm talking to him about it. He goes, "Yeah, I don't remember that. I don't want to talk about it." He said, "It's two different things. I don't
Nobody wants to
remember
be
it.
that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember it. I don't want to talk about it." Those two things,
Yeah.
you know, it means don't bring it up, more or less. So I never brought it up to him again. But he was definitely scared, and I know I saw something that wanted me to see it. And this is once again during the day.
Yeah. That could be like, some people will say, "Oh, it was a demon." Other people will say, "Well, it could have been a reptilian," which is an extraterrestrial. But there's also this belief, that there were an ancient race of beings who were serpentines, a serpent race, who have been around long before us, and they're all underground for the most part, right? I mean, there's so much about this planet we don't know, and we don't know. I mean, let's hypothetically examine that a little bit, even with some of these cryptids. You know, if there's a belief that they're just interdimensional, that they can just come through, portal type entries. Like, I mean, some people say it's not a portal; they're just here. They can just pop in. So, however the case may be, there's so many things out there that there is no explanation. I mean, half the fun, I think, in researching this stuff is the research, trying to figure it out. When you figure it all out, it's just sort of like, all right, well, it's over. Like, so I like the thrill of that potential. But if you just look at even things like the ancient, Sumerians, I mean, you see statues of these sort of serpentine people or these reptilian people, and you're going back like thousands of years. Like, so I don't know. It would be curious to see which one that yours fell into. If
I've never saw it
shapeshifter.
again, but I tell you, I saw a creature in Iowa that is along the same lines as the woman in the photo that I didn't see but got a picture of in Romania. You figure I found that out after the fact with this photo. I didn't take her picture. I took a picture of two people. She showed up after the fact when the cardboard camera got developed. When I was in Iowa, I lived in Iowa for a year, 2014 to 2015. I lived in the Park View Apartments, it was called, in Grimes. Grimes is a small town right next to Des Moines. It was like three miles from the base, 4 miles from Camp Dodge. I'm going to a bar one night. No booze in my system. I just needed a night out. I had my Rhode Island license, about $50, and the key to my apartment. Not even my car keys. There's 3 items. in my pocket, needed a Jack and Coke. It had been a long week. So walking out of there, I walk out the side door of the building under a tree. It's 8:30 at night, 26 September 2014. That was, and I think that was a Friday, the 24th or 26th, that Friday. I'm walking under the tree. Nothing's going on. There's no traffic. It's a very quiet town. I don't know how it is now. That was, 12 years ago, give or take. I look across the street, and all I can describe it as is it looks like it was made of black paper. And it had a long neck, about that long, like a rabbit's type of head, ears kind of like a rabbit with long, thin front legs like a coyote, because coyotes have like those super thin front legs. And it was like kind of like seated and looking around like this. I saw it and I stopped and I looked at it. And first thing came to my mind is that's not real. And I had no booze in my system. I'd never done a drug in my life. I didn't even smoke pot. And I'm looking at it, and it was looking around, and it looked right at me. Now, the little area over there, it's kind of like not a strip mall, but has like maybe 5 offices in a row. And then the lights in the parking lot look like the mall lights in the parking lot, the tall lights with like the 3 bulbs, whatever. It was under one of those, just sitting there in the parking lot. Now, nobody's around, and this thing's looking at me. And the first thing I thought, the only thing that was close to me was a stop sign. I considered climbing a stop sign, reaching up to the top and pulling myself up just in case it came that way. And then I realized how stupid that was. I couldn't run back to the place. And the last thing I wanted to do was not take my eyes off of it. So I'm looking at it. It's looking at me, and it kind of lowered. And then we heard, maybe it heard, it's we heard, but music in the distance. It heard it, apparently, as I did. It turned its head and ran behind the building, and it ran in a comical sense, like bounces, like the gargoyle and the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Describe it, because it looked like that corny. And I'm looking, I said, that can't be real. So I still went to the bar, because now I needed a drink. So I go to the bar, had a couple of drinks, and I was a little scared walking home. I was there about an hour and a half, shot some pool, walked home, called a bunch of people and told them about it. Next day at work, I told the guy I was friendly with there. And, everybody in the office thought I was crazy. It was only like 5 of us, 6 of us in that office. He starts printing pictures. He goes, hey, is it this? Is it this? He's bringing aardvark, all kinds of silly stuff. He comes in with one of them, and I took it and I shaded it in black, and I said, that's exactly what it was. The creature he printed was a Patagonian mara. It's a Venezuelan rodent. It looks kind of like a rabbit, but it stands about this tall. And I said, what would that be doing here? And he goes, dude, I don't know. He goes, you're crazy. Were you drunk? I said, no. So I kept the picture. Not long later, not long after, I actually talked to the girl tonight. We're still friends. I meet a girl that works at the Subway out there, not like in a relationship, but as friends. We made friends. Every day. I was always eating at Subway. She is a Wiccan. Like she does, like Wiccan witch is like her religion. Her mom is too. I ended up meeting her mom. So I wrote a short film when I was out there called Iowa More Than You Know. Like Iowa, like, I know somebody. And I asked her to be in it after I built a rapport of going there, because I was in the military there, so I was always in a uniform. So, she knew my last name and everything. And, we started to make friends. So I had her in the movie, and I taught her mom how to use the camera. So her mom filmed all the scenes. We ended up becoming friends. They had me over one night. It was her mom, and her dad at her place. And I explained this story. She goes, oh, tell my mom the story. And I explained it. And the mother says, let me go get a book out of the basement. She comes upstairs and opens it up and showed me. She goes, is that what you saw? And I said, that's exactly what I saw. And she goes, that's a demonic spirit you saw. Where did you see it? Now, my friend Amelia, who I made friends with out there, she works in that little plaza now. She's been working there for years. And every time we talk around Halloween, she'd be like, oh, she goes, it's almost Halloween. She goes, I'm always looking out the window to see your monster. And I say, yeah, you've never seen it. She goes, no, but they were so cool to have people there that understood and believed me. I said, I'm over your house right now. I said, you can tell I'm a straight-laced guy. And her mother's real sharp. And she said, she goes, can I tell you something? I said, sure. She goes, you're the only person I've ever met that I can't read. I can usually get like a read on somebody. I can't pick up anything on you. I think that's cool for someone to tell you that, you know what I mean? Because usually you can pick up something in somebody. And she said, I pick up nothing on you. And that's strange. I guess she was pretty good at that. it's so wild that happened out there, being alone, seeing it. And I even poked myself in the ribs. Like, it's a weird reaction, but I did it to, is something moving behind me? Or is that me? Oh, that's me. That's from the split.
No, I don't know. With all this talk, it could
Yeah, I looked
be.
at the up there and the split screen. But yeah, I poked myself in the thumb.
Oh.
In the ribs. I said,
Yeah.
that's real. That thing is real that I'm looking at. But it literally looked like black paper.
That's crazy, though.
Yeah, it's totally nuts. I called so many people and told them about it. And everybody I spoke to, like close friends, no one like ever doubts me. Because I've had people with me when things have happened. The girl I'm dating now is seeing like my condo had all kinds of weird stuff. And at her apartment, like when we just started dating, well, I mean, a little while into dating, we're laying in bed talking. And, after a while, you fall asleep or whatever. At one point, I'm sitting there looking at this shadow on the wall where there couldn't be one. It was like another oval black figure. And I said, "Are you awake?" And she goes, "Yes." I said, "You are awake? I thought you were sleeping." I said, "Do you see anything?" She goes, "On the wall." Yeah. It went up the wall, across the wall, very slow, and down behind her TV set that was on a little table. And we both saw that. She was freaked out. And I get up, turn the light on, and we never saw anything like that there again. But there were tons of instances once she moved in with me at my condominium. Like, not only with her, but stuff that happened with me, with my dog. And those go on. And they're things that I would swear under oath about them. And some, I have witnesses again. Like, I have a friend who passed away, I think it was May 24th of, actually, I can tell you exactly when he passed away. My dog died Friday, April 22nd, 2016. This guy died 24 May 2016. So I lost my best furry buddy. And he and I were like, when I say best friends, we were best friends. We were like father and son. And then he dies a month later, which really sucked. And this guy was 95 years old and fought in 22 battles in World War II.
My God.
Really stand-up guy. First apartment I had when I moved back to Rhode Island, he lived across the hall. He was 86 then. And he comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, were you looking at my wife?" And I said, "No." And he went like this and like tapped me in the stomach. And I said, "Oh," and he goes, he said his name. He put his hand out. It was like a trick, like he tricked me. But he still was that quick at 86.
Yeah.
Which was pretty cool. Like he went to tap me, but he put his hand out, introduced himself. We were friends ever since.
Yeah.
He
That's funny.
called me after he died. And my girlfriend was driving. With sunny day. I'd say I don't want to lie about a date. Let's say 6 months after he passed, a year after he passed. I don't know the exact date, but he was already gone. I called my mom to see if she needed anything. My girlfriend Gabby's driving. We're in her truck, driving on the road. I call her. My mom answers the phone and goes, "Hello." His voice. She heard it driving. She went, "The chief," because his nickname was the chief. And then I said, "Ma," I said, "Are you okay?" She goes, "Yeah, what?" In her voice now.
Yeah.
And I said, "Anyone there with you?" She goes, "No." She goes, "What?" And I said, "Do you need us to bring anything?" And she goes, "No." I said, "Okay." Hung it now only a mile from her house. I looked and I said, "What did you hear?" She goes, "I heard the chief's voice. He said hello." He had a distinct hello. He go, "Hello." And it was his voice. Both heard it. Sunny day. Isn't that strange?
Yeah. It doesn't happen often. It's really, I understand it's really tough for them to do that. I had a message left on my voice machine one time from someone I knew who passed. It took her 2 weeks, and it was a bit of a struggle, but her voice, only time. And I mean, yourself, when you are in the field and you are out there, researching this stuff, you think it would happen to you a little bit more often, but one time. So that's a gift because that's really difficult for
I
them
think
to.
of it as that too, right? Because I think a lot of people look for things to edify themselves in order to be interesting.
Yeah.
This is interesting to me, and it comes to me.
Yeah.
And I like, here's another one. I got another one for you. You'll love this because this is along the lines of what you just said. My aunt died in 2010. And now the one with the chief that I just told you, he didn't really call me. I called my mom. Her hello was hello. So he didn't really call me. My aunt who died called me. And it was her hospice voice. And it's kind of funny. I was on a show. I was on a show actually last night, last week. It was the one before that. I can't remember the name of the show. I'm sorry. I guess I'm tired, but
No, that's all right.
I was bringing up this story, and I forgot to say something in the story. I forgot to describe how the call came in. I think I told it, and I didn't tell that piece of it. I had a BlackBerry back then. So here it is. When I walk out of the bathroom in the morning, it's 5:30 in the morning. I had my towel on. I'm looking out, blinds open. You can see like the big tree I had out there and the road. And I had a missed call. I told her like this. She asked what's the most scary instance that ever happened to you, and I think I explained something else. It was this. And after the interview was over, I felt bad. I said I didn't tell her the truth. I want to tell it today. Here I am holding my towel. I checked the voicemail. I put it to my ear, and it was her voice in hospice. And I'm going to kind of repeat it the best that it sounded. It sounded like, not to make fun, but this is what it sounded like. She went, Jason. It sounded like that. Oh. I've never been so scared that your arm, like you know how your eyes blink on their own. My arm pulled away on its own. I didn't pull it. I was that scared. And I was holding my towel, and I literally sat on the bed listening to this. And when I saved it, I think in the BlackBerry was 14 or 15 days it would save. It only saved for a week, and it was gone. So that night, my mom worked till she was like 75 years old as a nurse's aide. She just wanted to work. I went over there. She got out of work, and she worked from like 3 to 11, Monday to Friday. I went over there. She got out of work at 11. I was already in her apartment. She opened the door. She goes, Jason, what's wrong? And I said, can you sit down? I want to let you hear something. She goes, okay. I played it for her. I said, what is this? And she's listening, and she goes, that sounds like your aunt in hospice. I said, that's what I thought when I got it this morning. I said, and if you listen, it almost sounds like Jason in there. Like it was like, I don't know, is that Jason? Like trying to talk when she was struggling to talk. I played it like, I'm not to get in the weeds, but my sister, we don't talk, but then I did. And I went over there. I played it for her. She literally stepped back and put her hand on the wall. She goes, why would you have something like that? She thought it was sick. She goes, why would you save somebody dying? And I showed her 5:31 today in the AM. This is today. She called me. And the hardest part is the number was, I think it was 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
That's how it happened.
That was freaky. And I said, now my friend was very into computers, and I called him. He told me it was Skype. I didn't even know what that was then. I said, Skype. I said, what's that? He goes, it's machinery. That's a Skype number. I was like, okay. So the next night, now I'm not going to say the very next night, maybe 2 days later, I know the exact time frame. I'm watching Rambo 3 downstairs by myself. I remember the movie. I was sitting there watching it, and I get a call on my phone. The phone number is all zeros, and it's a girl with straight dialect. She literally sounded like she called me from the past. Now, my aunt had just called, and I always thought it was her from the past calling when she was young, and it was a random call that I picked up from
like a crossover of something.
Like 50 years ago. She couldn't hear me. She said something like this. She was like, "Hello." She goes, "I can't wait to see you tomorrow. I'm looking forward to seeing you. Are you still going to pick me up?" As clear, like an Indiana accent type of, like Midwestern, where some parts of the Midwest have no accent. It's just straight dialect. Like parts of Indiana like that. There's no twang like you'd see in Tennessee and Kentucky. She called, and I'm like, I don't know who this is. I said, can you please tell me who this is? And then the phone shut off. The next night, I got a similar call from the same girl, and it was the same number, all zeros, 7 zeros. The one before was 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's literally like, I don't know who that crossover was, if it was her when she was young, but she couldn't communicate me. It was as if I was listening to a call from another time.
You know what? I believe that when it comes to Skype, do you remember way back before Skype was bought out by, Microsoft and all that? I mean, way back, there was somebody who was doing an ITC experiment with Skype, and there was a number that they said you could call this number and you can communicate with, whatever it was that was there. And I thought, I'll bite. I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to bite. And I'll tell you something. It was bizarre. And I thought to myself, my logical mind said, it could just be somebody like me on the other end, but there's all this interference in between. Yeah. But the person apparently who put all this, like, who put this whole thing together, is that you will call this and somehow it would be connected to some ITC device or something like that. I didn't get all the specifics because it was in its infancy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Skype, for God's sakes. Anyway, there was some crazy stuff coming out of there. Like, there was kind of like grunting and growling, and you could hear little tiny bits of voices in the background. But it's easy for them, for spirits to come through, I think, because there's so much static in between
Yeah.
on these things, and they can ride the waves, like frequency waves or radio waves. Because when I had my answering, my loved one left a message on my answering machine, you could hear, oh,
That's
dun,
okay.
dun, dun.
No,
You
I did.
could,
I was trying to.
that's okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. You could hear the faint sound of like a radio going through. And ironically, she spoke in her hospice voice.
Real, so that happened to you.
Yeah.
That's odd that we both had a similar thing like that.
Yeah. So I kind of wonder, with the Skype thing, and that ITC thing only lasted like about 3 months. And then the numbers were completely disconnected and you couldn't try it anymore. So I don't know. It was weird.
That is weird.
Yeah. So I was just wondering if you had heard about that at the time, because it's it would have been a perfect avenue if they chose Skype to do this experiment or whatever it was they were doing. It's obviously it works well for ethereal beings or people to come through after passing.
You want to hear a real scary story that I had? Well, a witness from a photo, because I sent the photo, but my girlfriend came home and got to see it as well. My dog, Lukey Dookie, died Friday, April 22nd, 2016, as I had told you. In the basement, he used to like to go down. I had a finished basement at my condo. He used to like to go downstairs and stand in the dark. And I used to go downstairs and get him. And I said a bunch of times when I went down there, I'd say, whatever's down here, leave him alone. Because I think somebody was petting him. A couple of times prior to his death, he'd be on the couch with his foot up and one toe totally extended like this because he was getting rubbed. And watching it, you could, like you might say he's stretching, but I knew what he looked like when he was scratching his stomach. And it was that look. And all I said was, hey, buddy. He literally jumped off the couch like he got caught doing something bad. And I said, whoa. I said, are you okay? And he's looking at me like he did something. I said, you didn't do anything wrong. And I said, whatever's in here, leave him alone. Now, before he died, also, one instance, he was standing in the dock down there. I turned the light on. I went down. And I said, hey, Luke, like that. He was just staring at the wall. So when I went up to him, I said again, whatever's down here, leave him alone. He looked at me like this and went upstairs. It was almost a human look, like mind your own business. I never forgot that because it was totally out of how he would act. And the look literally scared me. I was like, wow. And I told my girl about it. I said, he looked at me like a person, like mind your own business type of look, and just walked upstairs slow. Here he passes away. I'd say it's about a month later. He had a night light that I put on over near the basement. So if he decided to go down there when we were upstairs sleeping, because he had like 75% of the couch in the living room. If he went down there, he could see where he was going. The motion detector light would come on. After he passed, I took the motion detector light and I put it in the kitchen drawer. My girlfriend at the time, this is going back, he died Friday, April 22nd, 2016. She used to manage a coffee shop back then. So she used to get up at like 3:30 in the morning. So when I got up, she was already gone. I get up and I walk into the kitchen. Now, this is like a month after he's gone. And I look over and the basement light's on. I said, oh, it must be his night light. I get over to the sink and I went, night light's in the drawer. Lukey's dead. I go around the corner and the whole basement's like the way it was, like his, like the living room was a small condo. You walk into the kitchen, refrigerator, little hallway, the basement over there, finished basement. I walk around the corner and I had my aunt who passed away, the one I mentioned that called me, had given me this big, crazy a lighthouse. It looked like a candy cane and it had a little drawer you could open up and it played like some piano melody and it had a light on top. She goes, oh, I know how much you love strange stuff. I thought you'd like this. And I loved it. I said, oh, that's awesome. So I always kept it. I had it at the bottom of the stairs on this little podium. It didn't have batteries for about 3 years, and it was lit up brighter than it ever had been with batteries. It was so bright that when I walked in the kitchen, I thought it was his nightlight, and the nightlight was in the drawer. So I comprehensively go over and I looked down the basement stairs, and I was frightened. I went down there, just like the movie Child's Play, where they flip it down and there's no batteries. I went down there, and in my mind, I pictured seeing my friend who passed away, the chief, with my dog, like on a boat, wanting me to go with him. And at the time, my life wasn't going well, and I would have gone. If they said, come with me, I would have gone. That didn't happen, but that's how I felt.
Yeah.
I take this lighthouse upstairs, and it's brighter than ever. And I call her at work, and I'm like, not crying or anything, but I sent her a picture of it and explained it. And she goes, how can that be? It stayed on till not long before she came home. It shut off. And she goes, well, I wanted to see it. A little while later, we're in the kitchen. It came back on. And I said, look, it's coming back on. It came back on. It came on, and she started crying. She was like that emotional over it. My friend lives in Virginia, and he's a master electrician. And I asked him, I said, man, if you had a battery-operated thing that was never wired, could never be plugged in a wall, can it just come on years after not having a battery? And he goes, to be honest with you, dude, impossible. It's an impossibility. And I was like, that has to be a sign. And then I should have brought the picture in here, but Lukey's leash, I had hung it on the wall. Now, my mom came over to eat maybe a couple weeks later or whatever. The way the sun was coming in the window, it hit the leash, and it looks like a sailor on a boat. And I think you have. Can I take a 30-second?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay, for sure.
Flashlight to show it to you so you can see the
all right. Okay. Sounds good. Guys, I am seeing all your comments. Came home, found the upstairs bedroom light was on, and called me to see if the film crew had left. And as I was about to answer, the light went off. See, right there. All kinds of stuff going on. Animals are so in tune, and I love that. I really love that.
All right.
And back. All right.
Hoping you can see this.
Okay, hopefully.
Okay, there's the picture. I'm going to shine a light on it.
Yeah, it's a bit dark. Oh, no. All we're getting is the glare of the frame.
I think we did this. Well, that's too bright.
Maybe try it from above. No, I mean that. Put the flashlight above the picture. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, a little better. Yeah. Okay. I see the leash. Is it a leash I'm looking for?
Yeah, it looks like a man though.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah, that's his leash hanging on like this. Like when you walk from the living room to the kitchen, there's like this decorative thing that was there when I moved in. I never took it down. I had hung his leash on there. That looks like if I could put it in a different way, it looks like a man standing on the bow of a boat.
It does.
And my friend was in the Navy for 30 years.
Wow.
So when I hung it up there, when the sun came in, it hit it in such a way that it looks like a guy with the Navy hat standing, like looking down with like a duffel bag. Yeah. And I showed it to my mom that I said, Mom, what does that look like to you? She goes, kind of looks like a man on a boat. And I said, yeah. And I said, who do I think's taking care of Lukey? The chief, because they died a month apart. So that was always something that brought me a good feeling, because I was like, geez, I said, he dies a month later. The lighthouse lights up, and I hang it on the wall, and what's there?
Yeah.
Looks like a Navy guy, you know what I mean? I was like, wow. So the picture I took, I wish I could show you all these in person. You'd see them much more clear. Yeah. But things like that, I feel that's like a pretty significant sign. Something like that.
I don't believe in coincidences. I do, however, believe a lot in synchronicities, and sometimes when things just line up, you just take it. I always say it's like the language of the universe. Yeah. It just finds a way to synchronize things so we have an understanding. Like we just sort of figure it out, because some of the things that I have seen, I sit there, I'm like, no, it can't be a coincidence. And I'm thinking, no, it's a synchronicity. It is. Like sometimes, the right song comes on at the time when you need it the most, or you see something on a billboard, you see a license plate, you see something that just comes out at you. And for me, I don't think it's coincidence that you would see all these things in this instance that all happens to synchronize and go together, like the lighthouse and the photo and your friend, it's a dog. It's just, to me, it's crazy. I think when you have the leash and that looks like this guy who's on a boat, I mean,
Right.
it's a synchronicity. It just it goes together. It's like, here, yes, it's together, and that tells you they're together.
Yeah, it's like little side things. Sometimes with me having stuff drawn to me, like the hard times I was having then, I think those little things really helped. I mean,
Yeah.
because there's no way to prove that's exactly what they were, but they were so significant, and it was even showed to my girlfriend. She got to see that thing light back up again, this plastic lighthouse with no batteries. So I
Yeah.
just kind of, I don't know, kind of gave me what I needed to go forward a little more.
Yeah. But
You
the thing
know?
is you got the message, and I think that's what it was intended to do, give you the
Yeah,
message.
that's
They
what I think
work
of that too.
they work in mysterious ways. It's not that easy. Again, people sometimes think, well, you pass over, you should be able to just communicate. Sometimes, yes, but sometimes it's so subtle. My best friend passed away, and I ended up, because they say birds is a thing when people pass away. And I had bird things going on with her all the time. Birds that were not even native to where I was living. Like, there's no way in crud that they would be that far north, because they came from Florida. They're not going to northern Canada, right? Like, they're just not. It's just like as a wind blows them in. And here it was, this little crazy bird sitting in a tree by my dining room window, and I'm going, that's bizarre. Like, you shouldn't be here. But it was always things like that. A white dove that perched over my door for about 5 days. And when I had a friend of mine who dealt with birds, I said, you got to come and get this white dove that somebody let off for a wedding or something. And the thing disappeared after 5 days when I made arrangements to have somebody come to take her away. Like, you just sometimes have to look at things and go, yeah, that's a bit weird.
Want to hear a funny one about Salem, Mass?
Yeah, let's do that one.
The,
That's fun.
the electrician guy that I told you, who was a master electrician that I called, a good buddy of mine. He's a big, giant Swedish guy. I'll
Yeah.
tell you two stories about him. This is funny. One I told on another show. I have a puppet. I don't. He's downstairs right now, locked up in a box. I always lock him up when I'm done using him.
Puppets are fun.
Yeah, he's like a 1960s looking marionette, and he's not super creepy, but I treat him well and I keep him locked up in a box with the door against a wall in the basement, just in case.
Yeah.
So my friend was staying for about 3 years ago. He stayed up here for a couple of days because he had some things to take care of. So I said, yeah, stay in the guest room. Stays in the guest room, and I had a little rocking chair before he got here. I put in there. I put Jemmy on. His name's Jemmy, the puppet. I named him that. Had him on the rocking chair. I said, oh, Nick. I said, you got to stay in the room with Jemmy. And he goes, oh, I don't care, man. This guy's like a giant, big Swedish guy. So we thought of it as a joke. He doesn't care. I wasn't going to make him sleep with the doll in the room. It was just to make him laugh. So we're in the kitchen eating, and all of a sudden, all the power goes out. Poof, everything's out. And it's not windy. It's not raining. It's not bad weather or anything. I go out front, and everybody on the street has power but this house. So we're outside, and we're all like, what the heck? And I said, well, I know what it is. And he's like, what? Now, he's the electrician. He's like, what is it? I said, Jemmy. He goes, get out of here, dude. We walk in that room, and light was coming through the blinds right on his face. And I picked up Jemmy, and I said, let's take Jemmy to the basement. 3 grown adults. We put Jemmy back in the box. I tripped the breaker, and I've never had a power issue again. That's a little peculiar. Maybe it's not him that did it, but it's strange. You know what I mean? It was really strange. And I said, look at the light from the window on his face. And he's just sitting there. We put him away, tripped the breaker, never had a problem again. Now, another story with Nick. I think it was 2000. I always get the year wrong. 2010. Him and his girl, they were from here, but they live in Virginia. They came up and they said, hey, I said, what do you guys want to do? He goes, oh, I want to go to Salem. He goes, I'll drive. I said, all right, cool. So it's Halloween or near Halloween. He's driving. She's in the back seat. And I had a lot of fun in Indiana. And when the first college I went to out there, I had a ton of fun. It's called Ivy Tech State College. And one of my teachers I'm still friends with today, and I graduated there in 99. And we still text and talk. He watches these podcasts and likes my films. Real cool guy. I hadn't talked to him for years. I had seen him when I went back to visit Indiana in like 01 or 02. We stopped by to school, me and a couple friends to talk to him. But I hadn't seen him or really talked to him, maybe an email here or there. We're in the car, and my friend is driving, and he goes, "Hey," he goes, "You still talk to Bob, your teacher from school?" And I said, "Not really, man. An email maybe a year or two ago or something, maybe 3 years ago. I think it was maybe even longer than that, but we just didn't really communicate." My phone rings, 317 area code. I look at it, I answer the phone, and he goes, "Hey, man." He kind of sounds like Chuck Norris when he talks. Kind of
Yeah.
talks like this, like Chuck Norris type of voice. Rest his soul. I know Chuck just passed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chuck Norris type of voice. I said, "Hey," I said, "What's going on, Bob?" He goes, "Hey, what are you up to?" And I said, "Well, strange enough, I'm in a car with two friends on my way to Salem, and he was just asking me about you." He goes, "You're a teacher from Indiana. You still talk to him?" And I said, "No." And then the phone rang, and it was you. And there was a pause, and he goes, "That's strange, isn't it, Jason?" The way he said it
Oof.
made me like have like goosebumps. And he goes, "Well, I'll let you go. Give me a call coming up or whatever." I said, "Yeah, sure." I hang up the phone. I look at Nick, and he's driving. He's like, "Your teacher? That was your teacher?" And she's in the back seat, like both like, "I'm so freaked out. We're going to Salem, and your teacher called." And he goes, "When did you hear from him last?" And I said, "When my first book came out, I sent him an email about the book, but we haven't physically spoke on the like face to face since '02. Here it is, like 10. And you bring up Bob, and the phone rings, 317, and he just the way he said it, he's like, "That is strange, isn't it, Jason?" I was like, "Whoa!" So, and then I have a picture over here. I'm gonna cover her face. His girlfriend snaps this picture in Salem, in the behind the Wax Museum. The wind was like it was like kind of like not super windy, not not it was raining, but it wasn't like really inclement weather. She's holding her umbrella, and as soon as I snapped the picture, the umbrella got taken in the other direction completely, like, and she's holding it like that. And I snapped it and got a picture of it. I'm gonna cover her, and I'm gonna try the flashlight thing again.
Yeah.
Here's the picture. Let me get my hand. Jeez, what's
Yeah.
wrong with me?
Okay.
Can't get my hand right.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Look at these orbs around her. Can you
Wow.
see them?
Yeah. Yeah. Very faint. Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 Much better. Yeah. That's
It was
crazy.
crazy. And he
Yeah.
emails me the picture because it was on a digital camera then. He calls me one night. He goes, "Hey," he goes, "Go check your email." And I send you that picture. He shows me the picture. There's like circle orbs all around her as if it looks like something's grabbing her. It looks like kind of like a big bird
Yeah.
of orbs around her with the umbrella in the other direction. Like
Yeah.
literally snapped in the other direction, and she's holding it. The wind picked up like out of nowhere right as I took the picture. It was so much wind that she literally jumped holding the umbrella. So that was creepy. And that was like in the same trip as Bob
Yeah.
called.
It's the Bob thing.
Yeah,
Bob just crashing the party.
yeah. Bob was a funny guy too. He was real dry. Always had his coffee cup up here, and he had like a huge mustache. But he
Yeah.
was like real dry character. So a lot of people didn't catch the humor, but I used to think he was hysterical.
Yeah. I love it though. I love it.
What's
I
that?
think it's
Dry sense of humor?
yeah.
Oh yeah, he was real dry. I used to laugh so because I said this guy should have his own show. He's hilarious.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Some people wear it well, others not so
Oh, yeah.
much. So you've had encounters like Bermuda. What kind of encounters have you had in Bermuda?
The Bermuda one, the strangest thing that's kind of weird. Strangest thing that happened there was the toilet flushed on the ship when we were in bed. Toilet flushed, and that was the only thing that really happened in Bermuda. I got to go on a glass bottom boat to the northernmost point of the Bermuda Triangle, Daniel Head Island, and that was pretty cool. But on
Yeah.
the trip itself, nothing took place until I came home. When we came home for about 90 days, it was so stressful that I'm surprised we didn't get a condition off of it, like a heart condition or have some type of a problem. It was back-to-back problems. Now, I kind of think I caused them because prior to going to the Bermuda Triangle, RC, that I mentioned, in the Bridgewater Triangle, I dug a big crystal out of the ground, and it
Yeah.
was really cool. And he said, "Oh,
Crazy.
that's awesome." And I was like, "You want to take it home?" He goes, "Nah, you take it to your house." He goes, "I don't trust crystals." And I
Wow.
said, I didn't think anything of it. It was in my basement for a long time, maybe a couple months prior to going to the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah.
And when we were gone, I had Jemmy, the puppet I mentioned, that who shut the power, maybe, I don't know. I had him in a chair in front of my sliding door. So if somebody broke in, he was holding a card that had something rotten written on it. So somebody broke in, they see that. Hopefully they saw the puppet and ran, think, you know,
Yeah.
we're on camera or whatever else, you know. So when I come home from Bermuda, I take Jemmy, say, good job, Jemmy, put him in the box. From a couple of days afterwards on, my refrigerator dies. It flooded the kitchen, and I couldn't find the shutoff in the basement. The refrigerator itself, I couldn't get out of the house because I guess it was put in the house through the sliding door. They built the sliding door afterwards. It was like a massive refrigerator that we had. So I had to cut the refrigerator with a Sawzall to get it out of the house. The new refrigerator they delivered, they didn't measure it. They couldn't get it into the house. So we had that problem. I get an infection in my toe where they had to slit my toe open because my nail, not the top, the bottom was growing into my foot. And my foot
that's painful.
Yeah, that got all infected. I was sitting here taking a college class that I didn't need. And I had argued with the school about it. I said, because I went back and got another bachelor's degree because I had extra GI Bill. So it only took 2.5 years to get a 4-year degree. And I got a degree in film. I said, I just kind of wanted to use up my GI Bill. So I went to URI and did that. They said you needed a science. So I took this kind of like, it was like a real difficult science class over the summer. It was one class in 32 days. So it was like every day you were doing this class just to keep up with it. It was like that much stuff. I already explained I don't need it. I gave you physics, I gave you algebra, I gave all these classes. They fought me on it, said you need it to graduate. I had to take this class while all this was going on. I'm sitting there during this 80 or 90 day period, and I hear conk, 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 conk in the basement. I end up getting a bird stuck in the channel that goes across the vent system, and I thought it was a rat. I thought it was like it sounded that loud. I had an exterminator come out. He comes upstairs with a bird. He goes, you had this in your thing. And I was like, God, so what else can happen? He leaves. I'm trying to do this assignment again. I hear da-da-da-da-da on the side of my house. It's a woodpecker attacking the side of the house. I go out the side door and I yell at the woodpecker. You know, insane you look yelling at a woodpecker. I was like, hey, I said, what are you doing? Stop. He stops and takes off. Now, it gets even worse from here. We ended up having a mouse in the house that you never saw. We had mouse droppings. I got the exterminator out for that. Found droppings in various areas. Never, ever found a mouse. That's crazy, huh? So that's a couple of years ago. I had said on the other show I did the other day that it was 2023. I actually went to Bermuda in 24. So I got that. You know, I always like to correct stuff. I remember after I was done, I said 23. I said, damn, it was 24. I said the wrong year. But that happened. So we had all this stuff taking place. This class I didn't need. I ended up doing well in the class, but 32 days of stress. And my mom was sick, but I had already paid for the trip, and I had my aunt taking care of her. She declined significantly just a week after I came back. So between caring for my mom 7 days a week, the refrigerator issue, my toe being affected, I'm all walking around. We think we have a mouse in the house. I got a class that I don't need to take, which is stressful as hell. And they found out at the end, oh yeah, you didn't need it. I was like, unbelievable, dude. But there was so much stuff between car repairs and things like that, and then it stopped. Because we were at the point where, like, I can't take much more of this between trying to live our lives and my mom's situation, everything like that. My mom's still around, but all the other problems just seem to end.
It's like the perfect storm.
It really was, and I got rid of the crystal. I actually took it on the bridge of the Tuxet Village, and I pitched it into the ocean over there in the Atlantic. And now I don't tend. I had a tendency to take stones from different places. Yeah, and it's not too bright like Hawaii and England. I took stones from the graveyard in England that out of the ground. These lava-looking stones. I probably shouldn't have did that because I still have those.
I brought stuff back from the haunted forests. I did okay. The people that I was with who brought stuff back, not so good.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. Oh my God. They had, I have to tell you, I don't want to make this show about me because it's about you, but the crazy things that happened that night in the forest. We were staying at a brand new state-of-the-art hotel, right? I could see the forest the hill from where we were, the mountain. Um, Everything crazy stuff started going on, walking around in the rooms, phones ringing when they weren't supposed to, front desk saying no, we didn't call, blah 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 blah, just crazy stuff. Lights, you couldn't even turn the lights on unless you put your key card in the slot in the wall, and then it would turn all the power on in the room. It was insane, and the stuff it was going on. So we travel home to North America, and they were having things like coming through the phones and like stuff walking around, all kinds of stuff. And they brought back like stones, like from mementos, things like that for people who asked. So they brought back things and handed them out, and some of them started having problems. I didn't have problems, but they were having, the two of them, and extended. So it's very possible that you were experiencing the same thing. And crystal holds energy and it amplifies it as well.
So I had the crystal and Jimmy, and Jimmy was out of the box the whole time we were going.
Oh, yeah. See,
you never know. I mean, it could be a conduit to something. He's never done anything.
Yeah.
Like, I've had him out of the box. He's never done I can't say he's ever done anything, but the power issue thing was funny.
Yeah.
It was real quirky. We weren't even using a lot of power. Basically, sitting in the kitchen eating.
Yeah.
And that took place. And then coming back, all that took place. So, sometimes the things you joke about, or I joke about, like that, I go, maybe it's Jemmy. Maybe it is Jemmy.
Yeah, well, maybe. Well, yeah, because Patsy was saying, does Jason have a curse on him?
Yeah, you never know. It's funny, too, because the way I got him, it's the same guy that Googled the Patagonian Mara and was showing at work in Iowa. Yeah, I come there. That's where I got Jemmy when I was in Iowa. I was out there, and he's giggling in the hallway one day, and I come to work. I said, what's going on? He goes, oh, check your office. And I go in there, and that's how I met Jemmy. He was in there. He goes, oh, I left it in there. I said, why would you give that to me? And he goes, because we were at Camp Dodge in Des Moines, and he lived out in Davenport. His family lived in Davenport, like 3 hours away. So he was home visiting his family. And he goes, oh, I was out with my family. We went to a pawn shop. And I said, oh, I got to buy this for this guy I work with. So I kept it on my shelf in my office, which everybody thought was weird. Yeah. And when I left Iowa, I took him with me. So, I mean, he hasn't done anything, but weird occurrences surrounding him, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to say, I've interviewed a lot of people. And you really do have a lot of highly strange things that have happened to you. It's like it just follows you around, no matter where you are.
I'm trying to think of something I could tell you that I haven't said on other shows.
Okay.
Because I don't like with the shows to repeat the same stories. Because I just got done covering on a show I did last night and the show the night before that about running into people again. So that's one of them I sent you. It's real interesting. And I should have said all 4 of them on the first show, because I had 4 extremely intense moments of physically bumping into somebody more than 1,000 miles away, or talking about them, and you hadn't seen them in 5 to 6 years, and you're 1,000 miles away, and they walk right by.
Yeah,
that's insane. And I had 4 instances like that in my life. Trying to think what else is like really wild that I could tell you that it would just kind of like blow your mind. Nothing's really coming to mind right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
I have a lot of. I mean, if you want me to, redo any of them that you've seen on previous shows, I'd be happy to. But I'd like to give you something that's.
Oh, it's no worries. I mean, we're coming up almost close to the 90-minute mark, but I find that we end up, sometimes we just attract things that people don't realize. Some people say, well, I've had things going on with me my whole life. And there is such a thing as haunted people. I don't think you fall into that, because a lot of your experiences are very diverse. Like, I mean, they're from this end of the spectrum all the way to this end of the spectrum. I have no doubt that you're just going to continue on having some of the craziest stuff happening to you, because I think you're just that kind of person. It's just the energy. You just attract a lot of high level, activity.
Yeah, it's pretty wacky. I mean, a lot of it, when it's taking place sometimes, like I can't really tell a story from a standpoint, people say, oh, I felt something. I've never had that.
Yeah.
And it's just like you're in it. It's like it's either zero to 60 in like a minute. You know what I mean? Like a couple seconds. It's like it happens. I'm in it, and there it's happening. It's never I feel a tingle. I don't have any of that stuff.
Right, right.
You hear a lot of people tell stories. I don't have any of that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I do have a pretty strong intuition
yeah,
about things, and there's one thing I can do sometimes is I can pick up whether I'm going to like you or not out of a handshake. And
yes.
I've done that on a lot of occasions where I've shook somebody's hand and almost want to pull away because I don't know what they did. I just know it's something I wouldn't like.
Yeah, well, that's your intuition. That's you have
Yeah,
to listen to that. Sometimes people, the energy sort of throws itself at you before the person. And
yeah,
you just know by looking at somebody, it's like, something's not quite right with you.
yeah. I had a neighbor like that. He introduced himself, and I shook his hand. And when the handshake was done, I think he could see it in my face, almost like I let him know I knew something, but I didn't know what that was. But his
Yeah,
look was like, geez, it looks like he knows something about me. It always
yeah.
creeped me out, and we must have said 20 words to each other in about 6 years. Like,
Wow.
hey, it's snowing. Oh yeah, it's snowing.
Yeah,
Like that. Like, hey, it's
yeah,
windy. Yeah, it's windy. Let's nothing, more than that.
yeah. That's insane.
Uh,
When you were in Romania, did you pick up on any other, we talk about activity? Like when I went to Snagov Monastery, a lot of people don't realize, but there used to be a prison behind that monastery. And of course, Vlad would keep a lot of prisoners there. And some of those prisoners would be used to work at various, locations of his. And there was some tunnel that was nearby that went from the monastery, I mean, hundreds of years ago, to another spot not far from that island. I look around there trying to figure out how, because it's an island, but whatever. But it was very, very intense. Like the island is very, very active for that reason, because you have to think with all of the, I mean, it's prison
yeah.
and in 1400s, it's not going to be a cakewalk. Prison isn't a cakewalk, but in the 1400s, it's a lot worse conditions. Did you pick up on anything like that when you were there?
No, nothing at all.
Wow.
I did think up a story if you have a couple of minutes.
Of course.
Let me see if I'm going to try to transfer my camera over here to see if it's any better. Because I feel like I'm looking at you sideways.
Oh, okay.
This might be
There we
like
go.
100% better here.
All right. There we
Oh,
go.
huh.
There.
Now,
Woohoo.
can you still see me? I mean, can you still hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I
great.
did this the whole show. Yeah, I was like,
You're straight on now.
this story is interesting. It's more interesting than scary, but it depends what you think scary is. And I'll
Okay.
try to get the dates perfect because it's from a while ago. I had a girl I moved to Indiana to be with, and we ended up being together for like a year. Didn't work out. I was friends with her family forever and always cool with her. I'm leaving Indiana. I'm getting ready. October 16th of 2002. I was away for 11 years total with military and college and everything. I decided to move back to Rhode Island. They said, hey, they had moved to Arizona. The father got transferred, so he moved out to Arizona. And he goes, hey, why don't you come out to Arizona? We'd like to take you around Arizona. They took me to Williams, Saguaro Mountains, Mount Lemmon, Tombstone. It was so cool. I'm here I'm at the Grand Canyon, right? Standing there looking. I thought the Grand Canyon was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in my life. This guy comes up to me and we're talking, and he goes, hey, he was an older guy. I was probably 2002. What was that? 24 years ago. I was a lot younger than I am now. I'm in my 50s now. So I'm out there looking out. And he goes, hey, oh, you like, the Grand Canyon and everything like that? And I said, yeah. I said, where are you from? He goes, I'm from here. I said, oh, cool. Okay, you must come here all the time. He goes, it's my first time to the canyon. I was like, you're from here? I was like, oh, that's weird. He goes, where are you from? I didn't tell him I was from Rhode Island. I just said I'm from Indianapolis. He was like, wow, the Indy 500, that's awesome. He always wanted to see that. So he goes, a lot of weird stuff took place around here when I was a kid. And I said, oh, when were you a kid? And he goes, in 47, Roswell crash. You had asked for an alien story. This is kind of an alien story.
Yeah.
It ties into 3 locations in the United States. The key point about this story I want to get at is people's faces, the expression. He started telling me when he was a kid, you saw the stories of the men in black. They would
Yes.
come to people's houses at night after the Roswell crash. Now, Roswell's in New Mexico. This
Yes.
is Arizona. He said they'd come with a sedan. One guy was always taller than the other guy. And kids notice a lot of things. Like if you came up to me, I'm not going to go, ah, ha, ha, look at her socks. Kids notice those things. He
Yeah.
said as a kid, him and his brothers and sisters, things that they noticed, that the men had odd hands. They had trouble when they opened like a briefcase moving papers. It was an abnormal movement. When they talked, they'd never talk at the same time or interrupt one another. And even when they were walking out, if one was talking, they'd stop and then move again. So these are things like he was telling me. I was like, wow, so that's weird. You know, we had small talk, small conversation, he went his way. And then afterwards, I was telling the man and his wife, you know, that my ex-girlfriend's parents about it. Here it is. That's 2002. In 2004, I had a friend. I'm living in Rhode Island now. He always wanted to go to Roswell. I said, well, let's go. We should take a trip there. That same year, I got to go to Romania too. We're in Roswell, and we're talking to people there. And I decided to just ask some questions to people around town. I asked this elderly couple that was sitting outside of the store about the Roswell crash. And they both, the same kind of a story this man told in Arizona. These people would come to your door, so on and so forth. Sometimes they'd have a wire going from the bottom of their pants into their shoe. Things that kids would notice. Their hands were funny. She goes, they looked like people, and my parents didn't notice anything, but they just looked strange. And they always pulled up in a black sedan. I was very interested by that story.
Yeah.
Now, I went to the Mothman town, Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Now,
Yeah.
this is kind of going backwards a little because I left Indiana 16 October of 2002 and moved back to Rhode Island. On my way home, I got my Cherokee packed with stuff. I took that Highway 13 because when you're leaving Ohio, there's a point where it goes leaving Ohio, welcome to West Virginia, leaving West Virginia, welcome to Pennsylvania. It's kind of like a weird turn.
Yeah.
And I ended up taking Highway 13. I think it's 13 or 19. It's like a squiggly road that leads into Point Pleasant. So I go to Point Pleasant, and I got stuck sleeping in that packed Cherokee because I went to the only hotel that was around, this big old brick hotel, and there was a construction workers convention. I even offered the guy $50 to sleep in the lobby. I said, it's cold outside. He goes, I can't help you. So I ended up sleeping in the truck. I just bundled up, slept in the truck.
Yeah.
The next day, I go to breakfast. I meet the Chamber of Commerce woman. And I could say her name, I guess. The lady at that time, her name was Hilda Austin. She was a Chamber of Commerce woman from Point Pleasant, West Virginia in 2002. And she was the nicest lady. She gave me this really cool autographed Mothman poster, which I ended up having framed. I gave it away to somebody since, and, figured that was a long time ago. But it was so cool that she gave me that. She said most of the movie wasn't even filmed in West Virginia. I think it was filmed in Vancouver or something like that. But I asked her about, when December 15th, 1967, when the Mothman was sighted there and then for 18 months all around the world, was that real? And she says it was real. And the men in black came to her door. Her expression, the one thing I caught in all three of these people's, well, the couple in Roswell, the man in Grand Canyon, and Hilda Austin, the thing I caught with all of them is when they told the stories, they looked away like this, like past you, like they were seeing it, because they weren't feeding you a line of shit. They were telling you from a standpoint of looking back through a kid's eyes. She told me they'd come to the door, the wire in the shoe. They'd always walk together. One guy was always taller. And she goes, back then you'd let anybody in. You could knock at somebody's door at 3 a.m. Oh, come in, get cookies and tea or coffee. And that's how the world was then. It was a different
times. Yeah.
Different times, different country. I mean, it's a sewer now, but I mean, then, it was a lot more open armed. And it seems like the men in black kind of took advantage of that because they'd come and ask questions. And the questions, the same questioning she spoke of, people spoke of in 47, from 1947, that when the Roswell crash, she talked about that happened when she was young in 67. And she was saying, like, they'd ask questions and then the other guy would ask a question almost timed, almost the same question, slightly different. And they'd revisit things in a pattern that it was almost rehearsed rather than human. And I never forgot that. She said it actually looked like skin pulled over awkward fingers. She goes, it looked like a hand, but it looked awkward. It didn't look like scanning the look. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow. I said, these are 4 people, that couple in New Mexico, the guy in Arizona, 4 different people. You figure 2002, 2000, two in 2002, because you figure I went to Arizona and then when I drove home. So 2002 was twice, and then the 2004 one in New Mexico. And everybody, different times, 1947, 1967, all with the Men in Black visited because something took place out there, out west. It was because of the Roswell crash. Here it was because of the Mothman. And I always like ask when we do paranormal stuff, but we really haven't been to a new town. I am going to ask around a lot because in the future, we call ourselves the Bridgewater Boys. That's the name we kind of, we don't have a name for it.
Yeah.
We're going to go to Palmyra, Maine, because there's been a lot of werewolf sightings up there. And I told my friend, I said, let's ask questions to people that are older, because you'll get an answer that's sincere. If you see anybody that's 80 and they're willing to talk to us, buy the guy a cup of coffee, and that's the investigation we should do. Get sincerity. Because if somebody tells me something about Men in Black up there, then that's guaranteed a conspiracy, because that's all over the country you're picking it up.
Yes. You know what? There seem to be more and more people talking about their experiences now as well. Because, back in the day, you were raised to just like, you don't talk about things like that. My mother would be just like, we just don't talk about things like that because, it's the neighbors. And I'm just like, who cares? Who cares? But that was the way it was. Now, you have the internet, you have television with all these amazing shows. And I think people are not as afraid to be considered foolish by telling their stories, and they're more willing to talk about it. So you might end up having great stories. And, like I say, Bigfoot's always the one you hear about the most, or Sasquatch, but it's like Dogman is now starting to be a close second.
He seems very intelligent, because from what I've never seen the Dogman. I don't know anybody that has seen him. I have seen him on television. They say that he'll go through and organize your stuff in a tent. Yeah. Like people said, like their shoes were organized, and he went through and, like in an intelligent way, was looking at your stuff.
Yes.
Which is even kind of more creepy, because he could just tear right through it. But he's probably more human than animal. If he's looking at things and reasoning,
I think you just get a lot of interference, military, things like that. There's a lot of aggressive stories. I've interviewed many people who've encountered them. And I do another show every other Monday night called True Real Cryptid Legends with Daryl Denton and Ron Moorhead. Ron Moorhead is very well known for the Sierra Sounds. And Daryl does a lot in Land Between the Lakes. You want to get into Dogman stuff, get down to Tennessee, get down to Land Between the Lakes. But they're very aggressive encounters there. But the last cryptid, True Real Cryptids that we did, there was a gentleman who shot a Dogman. Really? Because I was driving an 18-wheeler, and you had this thing that had to be 9.5 feet tall, because he had the window down on his semi, and this thing had its head in it. And he buried 2 shots into it. It dropped. He went further up the road, spun that rig around, came back, and there happened to be a black Jeep, and there happened to be no Dogman, no blood, but they were holding on to what looked like could have been like a tracker, and they weren't conversing. But 5 years later, Homeland Security pulled him aside and said, you killed our asset. We're just like, what? He's like, tried to kill me.
So what happened to him? Did he still alive, the guy? Or?
Oh yeah, he's still around. Really? But he took it down, yeah. And then you get these things, like with infrasound, like a lot of the big animals, lions and such, big animals do project infrasound. And some people have reported this feeling. So be careful if you're going out, where they feel like they've been hit with infrasound, and you end up with like bad headaches. So you just end up like just feeling really nauseous, and it really hits you. And sometimes there's a lot of after effects to that. So that's a big thing with them. But I would recommend listening to that show for sure. And we have another show. I have a gentleman coming on, I believe it is in May. Oh, I think I might even have him before that. We did a show on Two Real Cryptids with Bruce Brown, who's had with Sheriff's Department down in Tennessee for over 36, 37 years. And he's had some unbelievable dogman encounters. Unbelievable.
With
Listen to,
photos, does he have any pictures?
I'm sorry.
Does he have like photos of anything?
If he did, he didn't show them, but no, he goes in, he's encountered all kinds of them. Like
Yeah, I
all
wanted
kinds
to
of,
ask you more of a question to see what you would think of this. I have an oil tank in my house, okay?
yeah.
And it gets dusty. Oil tanks get dusty. And
Oh, I used to own an oil company, so we had
oh,
to
okay. So
we
you
went
only
to deal
use
with
your
those
oil.
tanks. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a black metal oil tank. It gets
yeah,
significantly dusty. I
yeah,
have no children. My girlfriend
yeah,
has no children. She only goes down to the basement to go into plastic totes. Very
yeah,
seldomly goes down there.
yeah,
A couple months ago, I would say about a month ago, I noticed fingers writing in the dust. And first I noticed four fingertips in the dust. I kind of dismissed it. I said it could be anything.
yeah,
Then I noticed it looked like sergeant rank, like just not a high ranking sergeant, but just like the sergeant rank upside down with a line next to it in the dust. So I got to the point I was taking pictures of it and then cleaning the tank and letting the dust accumulate again. The last one I took, I have a photo of, but I can't show it to you. It's in my phone.
yeah,
It's frightening. And it looks like a hand this long that touched the tank and like maybe rolled on it because the little finger is bent like this. You couldn't even put your hand on it that way to make that print. So it's like four tips, a space of nothing, the rest of the finger like a square hand and a long thumb. And the little finger is like bent on. But it looks like as the tank's curved, it
yeah,
laid
yeah,
its hand on it and like rolled it. So
yeah.
I have like four different lights in my basement. I only noticed it because I had turned this other light on that's right over the tank. And I called my girlfriend down and she goes, "Oh, what are you joking?" I said, "No, this is no joke." She came down and she's like, "What is that?" And I said, "It looks like a print. It's not a human print because it's even more narrow than my hand, but long." And it was freaky. So I took a picture of it, cleaned the tank since, and I haven't had anything. And
Have
it
you?
bothers me because I wash clothes down there and work out down there.
Yeah.
You don't want to see anything, but I do think something walks through.
Well, I mean, that could be a few things. Wayne says he's had at his motorcycle shop he's had before gremlins. Well, they can
Really?
they're a thing. Yeah, they're mischievous. They just like to hide things and play around and just cause a little bit of havoc. But it's a thing. A lot of reports of people who've had those experiences. Also, tall grays, or they have these really long limbs, like fingers as well, and I mean they're really long. You
That's what
know.
it looks like. Yeah, the long hand palm and a
Yeah.
long thumb. I was on
Yeah.
the phone one day talking to RC, the guy I go to the Triangle with, and we were talking about the Bridgewater Triangle in the kitchen. He's
Hmm.
at his house, of course. I'm on a sunny day. I leaned back and looked at the ceiling, and I have a picture of this in my phone as well. The way the light hit the dishes, it made a complete face with a nose, a pointed chin, and you could see it. And it was looking down at me. And I actually have I can text you the picture. It was in
Hmm.
my phone, and it's so creepy. I'm literally talking on the phone, and I looked up and I said, "Dude, you won't believe this." So I had my girl come in from the kitchen, and she's like, "What is that?" And I says, "It's light, but it looks like it's looking at me
That's a
on the
thing.
ceiling."
Yeah.
And I have to have a photo. If you ever want the photo, just give me a number and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, it'd be
Or I can
great.
send it to your friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Oh, you're
Uh,
welcome.
yeah, I definitely recommend. I mean, you could, I know Bruce, basically, you could email him or message him and he'll give you stories on. He'll be coming on next month. The stories are mind blowing. And I think, I mean, there's a lot of interviews on this channel too, even with ET experiencers, like crazy, crazy stuff. When you go into a place like the Triangle, there's certain place you could go into that are just you may not see them. It doesn't mean they don't see you. And there's this correlation between the paranormal, cryptozoology, and ufology. I've worked with so many families through the years, assisting in like malevolent hauntings, and at least half of those people also had experiences with grays, mostly, but other ET. And when you talk about orbs, you have orbs in the paranormal, you have orbs in cryptozoology, you have orbs in ufology. You have, if you look at the similarities between alien abduction, for example, and the paranormal, they almost mirror each other, right down to the smell of sulfur, the crackling sounds, the sleep paralysis, everything. The similarities, I could send you a list of the similarities, the bright lights, and you would sit there and say, holy crud, they mirror, they're identical.
Kind of like the Dover demon. He looks like an alien, but he comes out of the ground. Have you ever heard of him?
Which one?
The Dover demon,
I
Dover,
have.
Massachusetts.
Yeah, I have
I've
heard of
never
that.
seen it, but I saw pictures and it looks like an alien, but it comes
Right.
out of the earth.
Right. So there you go.
Yeah, really wild stuff.
I know. Yeah. I mean, I'd happily send you my notes on that if you were interested in seeing the similarities between the two, because you might sit back and think to yourself, holy crud, this is exact, because you kind of wonder, who am I dealing with, really?
Yeah, they have to be extremely intelligent to blur out everybody's trail cam.
Yeah.
You ever notice you never get a good trail cam, and if somebody does post one, everyone thinks it's fake.
Yeah.
It's like
Oh no. 100%. 100%. Speaking of Bruce, hi Bruce, how are you?
Oh, cool.
There he is. Anyway, it's been a lot of fun talking to you. My gosh, it's just all the stuff that's happened to you is just like it's like yeah, there is a lot. There is a lot. But again, I think you're going to be spending your life watching this happen, because some people, everything just gravitates to you. People, animals, occurrences.
Oh yeah, animals always come to me. That's funny you said that. Like people's dogs always like me.
See?
But that's funny. Like I always like if I'll just get right on the floor with somebody's dog normally, and they automatically like love you.
Yeah.
See, they know I love them. I think because I love dogs. So
you're just one of those guys.
Yeah, when it comes to animals, I wish I could get along with everybody like that. It's not the case.
Yeah. But if the animals like you, means you're a good guy. So
yeah, that's what people say. Yeah, the animals trust you.
It's what they say. It's what they say. So everybody in chat, thank you all so much for joining us tonight. And of course, big thank you to Jason for coming on and sharing his experiences with us. Tomorrow night, I'm really pleased to welcome my friend and special guest, author and co-owner of Dark Moon Press, Eric Berner. He's going to be talking about one of his books, The Vampire Cult Killer, based on a true story of a young man whose life, basically youngest guy on death row. Very interesting story. He does a really deep dive into it, and it's just fascinating. So, please join us for that. And big thank you, of course, to our sponsors, Folgers Coffee, Steve McGinnis, thank you. Big thank you to United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. So we'll see you all tomorrow night. Thank you all for tuning in. And again, Jason, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Pleasure. Good night, everyone.
Have a nice night.